242 days. How could my dad go from healthy to dead in 242 days? August 27, 2017, he caved to go to the hospital after intense back pain. He didn't have insurance and didn't want to spend $3,000 on a morphine drip in the ER to be told it was a kidney stone. But alas, sometimes you just need to cave. After a day back in New York City to go back to school and to move into an apartment with my sister Summer, we get a text to come back home. By the afternoon, he bursts into tears telling us he has cancer in his liver and spine. The fire is cancer, the dots are cancer. How is he functioning with all the death inside of him? 2/3 of his liver was covered in a tumor, yet he had no symptoms. That's the horror of pancreatic cancer. I looked at him that day and I saw a countdown clock ticking over his head. Doctors told us not to Google anything, but of course I did, and no matter what combination of symptoms I put in for him, he had a 9% or lower survival rate. The clock started to tick faster and I couldn't do anything about it. In my mind, I had no choice but to drop out of school and take care of him. He had taken care of my grandmother, and now no one was there to take care of him, except me. I dropped out of school, went back to work, and became a full-time primary caregiver at 19 years old. Caregiving is a 24/7 job with no pay, not a fucking dime. I convinced myself that I wanted to be around all the time. Part of that was true. As the weeks went past, we never really had answers. The doctors loved to dance, and they danced around the words. It could be this, it could be that, we don't really have a timeline. Gave them $175 a visit to tell us nothing, to do tests that would be delayed, chemo that was denied because we didn't have an extra $500. Money was gone in a second. I sometimes had to ration his pills of oxys and morphine because they were too expensive. Every other week he'd get his abdomen drained of cancerous fluid, and a liver biopsy was done, but it was botched because we didn't have money to pay for it, so the sample was held until it was inconclusive. He starts on radiation to relieve the pain from the tumor on his back. We don't get the official stage 4 pancreatic cancer diagnosis until November 14th because of the fuck-ups, but there still wasn't a timeline. Oh, he could last months, maybe even years. The bills pour in. I laugh at the numbers. $60,000 hospital stay reduced down to $20,000 from a generous uninsured discount. It all has to be a joke. Why do emergency room band-aids cost $100? Finally on Medicaid, that meant that chemo could actually start. We waited on his disability payments since he had to prove for 6 months that his terminal illness would keep him disabled. Wake up, make him breakfast, wait to see if he throws it up, get him meds, drive him to chemo, leave him to get poison pumped in his body for 8 hours, pick him up, hook up the chemo for 2 more days, make him food, watch him throw it up, help him up the stairs, check to make sure all the bills are under 3 months past due, lie in bed awake at night knowing the clock continues to click. I try to get him fine second opinions, but his brain is foggy and never gets it done. But I should have gotten it done. I was his parent in this time and I failed him, but I was just so tired. December comes and a miracle happens. We are given money from a local charity, so food is on the table, bills are paid current, and presents are under the Christmas tree. I can breathe again for the first time in months. I can go back to school. January. Back in the hospital. I think he needs a feeding tube because he can fit into my clothes right now, and that just does not seem right. It's not time yet, I'm told by doctors and a nutritionist. But when is the time? He's maybe eating 700 calories a day. When is the time? I see his clock reaching 0 and no one around me is saying anything. We fundraised with family to take him to Disney World.
We're here. Here it is, Dad! You made it!
He eats, he walks. It's a damn miracle. But the morning we leave, he throws up his breakfast. I think he knows that that was the last moment of true happiness. After a little time back at school, I come back and when I hug him, I feel his spine poking out of his shirt. He can barely stand, he throws up everything, he cries all the time. March pulls around and my sister takes leave off of work. She tries to get him to the hospital for testing, but the transfer to the car causes him to pass out and his lips turn blue. He can barely breathe. But it has to be blood clots in his lungs, right? Tests are done, comments are made. It's just the cancer filling up his chest. How long does he have? I can see his clock reaching 0 and no one around me is saying anything. Early April, he's so weak and can barely get out of bed without assistance. He has massive bed sores that need to be treated daily. Cancerous fluid is drained from his abdomen and lungs almost weekly. He can't see it from his delusion, but his time is almost up. He refuses hospice because hospice equals failure and he doesn't want to give up. I go back to school to tie up loose ends and I come back in mid-April. He has come to terms with hospice. We get him home on his 60th birthday. He sees his dead dog and his dead grandpa. He wakes me up every 30 minutes during the night with delusions of people in the house, numbers crawling on the wall, snakes on the floor. I pump more drugs into him, but nothing works. April 25th, 2018, his oxygen drops to 60. I lift up his blanket and I see his legs purple and blue from modeling, a sign of death. He mutters, "This isn't good, this isn't good." Why did clarity have to come at the end? Why did clarity come 14 hours before his clock reached 0? He slips into a coma and at 10:30 p.m. the clock strikes 0. He breathes his last breath. I breathe my first of relief. We pack up our stuff, close his accounts, and ward off bill collectors. We shred most documents. I keep some to remind me of the insanity. I get calls constantly. "Mr. Russo has some debts that need to be settled." I reply calmly, "Sorry, the estate has no money," and hang up. But his story can't end there. It just can't. I can't only have his medical bills as a reminder of this time. I grieved my dad's death during those 242 days. Now it is time to spring into action. Summer and I get involved with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network to advocate for better research. Pancreatic cancer has a 9% 5-year survival rate. Out of the 55,000 people who are diagnosed in a year, 44,000 will also die within those same 365 days. 7 weeks after his death, we go to DC to talk to Congress to get more funding. I pour my soul out in front of Congressman Cory Booker, begging him to do something. It's about to be the second deadliest cancer because of no early detection and very few options for treatment. We participate in Purple Stride to walk and raise money and awareness. The statistics have to get better. They have to get better because by the time of my dad's age, I have a double increased risk of facing the same fate. My dad's legacy is not going to be buried in hopelessness. We will wage hope because we have to. Because giving hope is giving up on life. 242 days. He lost his battle in 242 days, but it is up to us to win the war for him, and I intend to do so.